I am very happy to be here, and I want to thank World Beyond War for existing and all the peace builders present here and at many other venues, across the world who are celebrating, well, we can't really celebrate the International Day of Peace, unfortunately, in the midst of war, but who are participating in different events for peace, including this St. Petersburg conference, which World Beyond War is also participating in at the moment, a very important conference. And I want to thank Greta Zarro for her incredible work and for inspiring me and supporting me with the Romanian chapter of World Beyond War. And I want to thank Wolfgang for his wonderful hospitality to me and to Ishmael Bhila, and for many very interesting and truly open conversations. Is it working? Yeah? We are at a very dangerous point in history where multiple countries are expanding their military bases and many leaders seem bent on conflict. While this year's conference focuses on American imperialism, it is important to stress that World Beyond War opposes all military bases, all wars, and all war preparations. According to the map of bases, the United States have 917 of them, whereas another 17 countries have less than half of that. But in terms of nuclear capability, the balance of terror is much more even, and other countries are also expanding their nuclear arsenals. How can we oppose this collective madness and make pacifism more powerful? The answer is to practice pacifism daily, passionately, and intelligently, to find the discipline to always place our desire for peace above all other desires and allegiances. If we can do that, peace will win, because we will be able to involve the 3.5% of the general population in the peace movement, which, as we know from research, is the threshold needed to bring about real social change and lasting change. If we can't, pacifism will continue to be split along ideological and cultural lines, and the war lobby, unified by ego and greed, will keep on prevailing. Turning to Romania, we have 10 NATO bases, and our government is almost blindly following the NATO agenda. At the end of the year, we'll have presidential elections offering no hopeful choices. Romanian playwright Caragiale, writing in more peaceful times, imagined the character, the tipsy citizen, who goes around asking everyone, "Whom shall I vote for?" And I think many Romanians can identify with this character. All the candidates who have any chance of winning are essentially war candidates, despite the fact that the majority of us would like to see peace negotiations and non-violent conflict resolution. In Sweden, too, my second country of citizenship, the government has essentially handed over the keys to NATO. The EU as a whole is now strongly invested in war. Why is this happening in the 21st century? Because the pacifist movement is not yet unified and coordinated enough. Because there are too few credible pacifist politicians, but more than what Maria has said, in my opinion, because the citizens of countries like Romania and Sweden have no wish to become part of the Russian sphere of influence and deeply fear this possibility. NATO has been very skillfully marketing itself as the protector of democracy and of the freedoms we still enjoy in Europe, freedoms that have been challenged and curtailed in recent years, but that undeniably far surpass those of Russian citizens when inappropriate political comment can land one in prison, much as was the case in socialist Romania. We enjoy freedoms that far surpass those of Belarusians or of Ukrainians under martial law, for that matter. It is important to state that we don't owe this freedom to NATO, but to a legal and democratic system built and maintained against considerable pressure and which is under serious attack, but which still exists and must be peacefully defended. So many lives have already been lost. So many men have fled Ukraine, Russia, Belarus, risking their lives to avoid killing other human beings, which goes against our human instincts and against human nature. As pacifists, we should reject the realist doctrine that, as Professor Mary O'Connell has shown, emerged after World War II as an alternative to international law and legal arbitration, and this realist doctrine can really be described as the rationalization of powerful actors' greed and ego drive under the guise of protecting state interests, which are in practice nearly always determined by the small political elite in charge. We should fully acknowledge the whole depth of suffering inflicted by all parties in all conflicts. We should firmly reject and never condone any form of totalitarianism. We should stand up for peace and for each other at all times against any ideology and any political strategy that places alleged state interests above human rights and human lives. We should stay truthful and empathetic regardless of the propaganda on both sides of any war. Once we do that, peace will undoubtedly prevail. Achieving peace and freedom for all is not some vague dream, but an ethical responsibility we have towards the children and young people of today and towards future generations.